like to welcome everybody to Let's Talk Racing tonight. Al's not here, so I can get away with saying that. You have to bear with us. Some of the people we'll talk about, I don't know if you've ever met them before. Al Pearce works for Autoweek magazine, and so we're always giving him a hard time. Anywho, we have Mike Hedrick on the line here with us. Well, cook us up some good information and give a little short bio about what you do and how you got dealing in with racing and everything.
Well, for one thing, I'm up here in Northern Virginia. I'm only an hour or so away from Dover, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm checking my lug nuts because that's a big topic we found out today with Kyle Busch and all that, so that's going to be a big subject. But, hey, I'm a barbecue man. I came into NASCAR about 7, 8 years ago, something around there. I'm like a barbecue champion. I'm in the Charbroils Cookbook, American Grills. And on the Travel Channel, I was on a show called American Grills.
Okay, cool.
Lately, I've been doing a lot of stuff with Bristol Motor Speedway. They've been very kind to keep inviting me down there to do emceeing and interviewing drivers and like that. So it's kind of like a barbecue man that's just a big race fan that just gets to go and enjoy and be part of the sport.
Cool.
How'd you do on that barbecue? Was it the Travel Channel? How'd you do it? Were you actually in the competition, or you were one of the judges?
Actually, I was in one of the competitions. We filmed up in Annapolis, and I didn't win, so I can't say that I was a champion there. But it was a lot of fun being on TV. They say that TV adds a couple of pounds of fat onto you, but it actually adds a couple of pounds of cool onto me. I actually look a little cooler on TV than my friends here at home think that I am. Okay.
Do you remember what was the challenge? I'm sure you know. Was it with you guys doing a brisket and something else? Every time I watch it, it's a brisket and something else.
Well, up in Annapolis, it was kind of crazy because they wanted to kind of keep on theme with the Annapolis and the harbor and area up there in Maryland. And so one of the things that we had to cook was, well, one was some sausage, which was pretty easy, and the other was like a sea biscuit, and it was like a little teeny white hockey puck. And I tried to tell them, I was like, the people that used to eat these are dead. But it was a lot of fun.
They were on the Mayflower, weren't they? They were on the Mayflower, weren't they?
Yeah, I was going to say, they really went back in the history books for that one. The only sea biscuit I've heard of is the horse.
Really?
That's right, and it was about as tough as the horse because they said, yeah, the company that we got these last sea biscuits from, they've gone out of business, but we've got these ones here for you to grill up. And so I had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun being on there competing with the guys and everything.
I gotcha. Sounds fun.
So, let's see. Now, I've read some things about you, but I'd rather you tell me about stuff. Now, of course, you've done those. Now, when you're going and cooking, are you going to cooking for certain teams, or do you go cook for meet and greet stuff? What all are you doing when you're going out to the tracks?
When I go to the tracks nowadays, most of the time, I guess I'm doing a lot of MC work. I get to go and interview a lot of drivers down at, let's say, Bristol Motor Speedway. They hire me each year for the last 4 years to come down and be the main MC on the fan zone stage and the pit road party zone there. And I'm looking to be going back not only for the night races coming up, which is always fantastic at Bristol Motor Speedway, but they're going to be having the Battle at Bristol, which is going to be the largest college football game in history with like 160,000 people. So I'll be back there on the fan zone stage doing some stuff. But they get me to interview the drivers, so I'll talk to Richard Petty and Bobby Allison and a lot of the great boys down there.
Oh yeah, some good people.
Do you have that in your background? I mean, how did you get into the opportunity, I guess, to MC or to do PR type things like that, events?
Well, it's kind of funny. As a barbecue man, years back, I got hooked up with a company that was called Pit Crew Barbecue. They're no longer around right now, but they introduced me to Jeff Hammond, and I met Jeff Hammond down at the 2009 Talladega. My team, which is the Pit Pirate Barbecue. The pirate part comes from because I'm a one-legged guy after a little bit of a motorcycle accident. But our team was competing with Pit Crew Barbecue, down there, and with 112 teams, and we took 11th place fourth. But that's where I met Jeff Hammond.
Okay.
And although they weren't, or they're not still around, Jeff has just been a good friend with me, and that led to meeting great people like Drew Bedard, who is at Bristol Motor Speedway, and they've just given me some really good opportunities.
Well, that's great. Well, one thing that NASCAR does is they're loyal to people that, you know, they build a relationship with. So it sounds like you hooked up with the right people anyway.
Well, it's kind of fun because as a barbecue guy, and then also, you know, being part of NASCAR, one of the biggest questions that I get, and I get it asked from barbecue people and just actually a lot of people from different, you know, trades going, how do you get into NASCAR? Who do I contact to get into NASCAR? And that's not an easy answer because NASCAR is a good old boys club, and it's kind of word of mouth. You have to be there. A prime example is you know, my buddy Jeff Hammond. You see him as a championship crew chief, but we find, you know, you look back a little bit further. Well, he was a jackman. Well, how did he get to be a jackman? Well, he had a CDL license and he drove and moved the cars around a little bit. So how did he get his way into NASCAR? He was just around NASCAR. He you know, he started off there just driving around a little bit.
Right time, right place.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I've got a lot of friends of mine that have been at local tracks and wanted to get it up and going, and several people that are now working for NASCAR or on race teams, and it just takes a little while and honing your abilities so everybody notices you.
And I think you got to be a good egg. I'm a North Carolina boy, and one of my mottos for North Carolina is that you give before you ask. So you go try to help out and try to help out and try to help out, and if you know, if you need you know somebody to help you out, or you need a lead here or something like that, well, you know what, you've done a little bit something before you've gone and and asked for something.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
Cool. Now, let's see. Now I noticed on one of your pictures you've got some friends at Bubba Burgers.
Yeah, Bubba Burger has been a lot of fun with mine. I met those guys down at Richmond International Speedway when they were, Raceway, but when they were doing the Bubba Burger 250 a few years back.
Yeah.
And with Andy Stinson, those guys have been great. They've been giving me opportunities to spend time with teams and Bobby Labonte and Joe Nemechek as they've kind of sponsored and kind of done their, I call it guerrilla marketing. Bubba Burger has been in NASCAR, but you haven't seen them full-time on a car. But you see them popping up on trucks and especially in the Xfinity Series nowadays. You see them with JD Motorsports and Make Motorsports and those guys, and it's a lot of fun to. I'm just a fan. So when I see somebody get in there and be a part of the sport and put their money where their mouth is and help all those small teams, I really enjoy it. So they're a lot of fun. We're going to be down, I think I'm going to be at the Ulster race down there with David Reagan because the Bubba Burger car is going to be on the 23. It's the We Salute You, like a military thing there, patriotic theme. It's going to be a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, David's a good guy. I've known him for a while, and he's helps out another friend of mine, Tiger Tom Pistone. I don't know if you know Tiger or not.
I haven't met him, no sir.
You need to meet him. He's a character. Be ready to sit down and get your ear talked off, though. Okay. And you can tell him I said that. He knows I say that about him too. But anyway,
David Reagan is a super guy. I actually just talked to him a few weeks ago. I was down hosting the what they call the Pit Road Party Zone at Bristol Motor Speedway, which is like it's like a real fun area, all-inclusive VIP area, right on pit road, right behind the pits. It has all-inclusive food in the morning and a nice little bar down there where you get some drinks and stuff. But they always have some great guests that come down in there. And David was down there last spring, and then this spring here with me as well. So he's a super good guy. Actually interviewing him, he's probably one of the easiest interviews because you can just ask him a question, and he will just go on and just give you a great answer that answers your question, but that the fans really want to hear as well.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, he is. I love having him on the show. I can't even tell you how many times I've had him on the show.
So having so much experience with interviewing the drivers and doing it so you're trying to do an interview that's, there in front of the public, how do you, I guess, ask questions of the drivers that maybe, again, are going to be of interest to the fans, but it's maybe not a rehash of stuff they get asked all the time?
And I think that's one of the fun things. On Twitter, you can find me as the fans reporter. And I do. I ask questions that aren't the normal questions. I love all the great broadcasters that are out there. I mean, I'm a student of Bob Dillner. I think he is just one of the greatest pit road reporters that have been out there. But I do. I like to ask the different some of the off questions. Not silly questions. I mean, these guys are busy, but just questions that the fans they want to know things. I was talking with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at the Pit Road Party Sound, and before I had told him I wouldn't ask him anything personal, but towards the end of the interview I said, Ricky, I'd just like to ask you about the prettiest girl in your life. And he kind of looked at me and I said, how is your mother? And it was just really great because he gave me a great answer back, and the fans really loved that. It was kind of a baited question, but it was just a lot of fun. He had a great time with that, and I think he didn't beat me up because of that as well.
Well, I mean, I think it's a nice setup because in a way you get to catch the driver off guard, but in the end you let them off the hook, and then they, I guess, come out as a hero because they get to talk about their mother a little bit. So,
and
it's all about the fans. I'm a fan. I'm probably the luckiest fan in the world, even though I've used my barbecue to kind of get into NASCAR and be a student of the sport. I mean, I get the biggest thrill out of just being in front of these guys, and I know that the fans, this is a close sport. This isn't like football or baseball where you're just so far away from the players and all that kind of stuff. You're up actually real close to them and get to meet them and get to hear what they think. And so it's important that the fans really get to kind of hear what's going on and just kind of the off kind of stuff.
Got a quick question for you, Mike, and this is sort of a personal question. How's your buddy Keith doing?
My buddy Keith is actually doing pretty good. I'm a blue-collar guy up here in Northern Virginia, and one of my bricklayer buddies, and thank you for asking, did call me today and said he was having some chest pain. He had a little blood clot in his leg, but thanks you to good medicine and a lot of people who were praying. I believe in the Lord Jesus, and I'm just thankful that all the people that jumped on Facebook and all those kinds of things that had good thoughts and prayers for my buddy Keith. But that's very kind of you to ask. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I was just curious because I saw it and I said, oh my gosh, I hope everything's going all right, and of course our prayers went out to you as well. But yeah, I hate to see stuff like that pop up, but it does, unfortunately.
Well, it does in all kinds of different ways. One of the funny things was, and to tie in with NASCAR is one of the medicines that they've given my buddy Keith for his clot is the same thing that they're giving Brian Vickers, to get him back into racing.
Right.
It's been a lot of fun watching him get back in there and jump around. That's, in Tony Stewart's car. Good seeing Tony back in the car because his last year and everything. And you know what? I think he's got a good shot here at Dover. He's moving up in the points, and just one more win gets him up in there.
Yeah, he was about 159 points out, and he's down to only about 52 points out of 30th now.
Yeah, and you got to just cheer that on. Even if you're not a big Tony Stewart fan. I mean, the guys hoorah season, the last season, going around. The impact of the injury and trying to get back, and some of the problems from before. That kind of plagued him. I really would like to just see him have a really good year. I'd like to see him in the chase. I think that would just be so fun. You put Tony Stewart in the chase, and it's kind of all bets off, actually.
Oh yeah, he'll be putting the pedal down on anybody he's going to be racing against at that point in time.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward. It should be a really good race here in Dover. We're hoping here, like I said, I'm only a couple hours away, and we've had rain for like 2 weeks solid. So I'm hoping this is going to move out, and we can get a good race in there. And that's a great track to go to. You can see from just about anywhere that you're at. There's a lot of stuff to do. Of course, there's Miles, the monster himself, out front.
Oh yeah,
love that.
Hey, I got a question. Have you ever been to the western part of the country at any of the tracks?
Haven't been to the tracks as a young Marine brat growing up. I did live out in California, Barstow, California, and all those kinds of things. And we went to some dirt racing out there. My daddy took me to in the late '60s. But I haven't been to any of the NASCAR tracks out there, no sir.
Well, I was always asking. We just had a friend of ours just now calling in. He's out at the Cal Petty charity ride, Al Pearce I was talking about earlier. And he's always asking about In-N-Out burgers if people have had any. So I figured I'd give you a chance, give a shout out for In-N-Out burgers if you ever had one or not.
No, I haven't had one of those right yet, but you know what? You can't talk down just about any kind of good burger that that tastes good, or anything. I'm a competition barbecue guy, and when we do the national competitions, and you see the big guys, the Myron Mixons and all those big pitmaster guys, we can only use wood or charcoal.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's great. Well, there's some guys that go, well, if you're cooking on gas or you're cooking on infrared, blah blah blah. You know what? If I go to your house, I don't care if you're cooking on Soul or something. If it's a good piece of brisket or a good piece of pork chop or something, and you cooked it up and seasoned it, I'm munching out. I'm gonna have a good time.
All right, well, let me let you go ahead and get going, Mike. And it was nice to have you on here. I will get back up with you later on. Hopefully you go to Richmond for the Richmond race at least.
Oh, I'll be there in Richmond here coming up here and for the next one. It was kind of fun that they had the day race. I really like the day race, but it'd be good to be down there for the night race as well.
Yeah. All right, we'll be talking to you later then, bud.
All right, guys. Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Big Al.
Hey guys, how y'all?
Man, we had a guy that's right up your alley. It was all about food tonight.
I'm not sure food's up my alley right now.
Oh, well.
Oh!
Give us an update on your...
Food is the last thing on my mind right now.
Really?
Did you get a new sponsor?
Paying a price?
I get a new sponsor, what?
That's it. We were wondering if you might have gotten a new sponsor, with your problems you're having here lately.
So you didn't have
Scott was saying it was depends, by the way.
Oh, so you're gonna put it on me, Al. This is before the show kicked off, but now he brought it up during the show. So
Yeah, I got pretty sick on the ride. Sunday night in El Paso, I was quite ill, and I was quite ill the next night in Lajita, Texas, and the doctor suggested, don't get on a bike until you can hold down food for 24 hours. So basically, I skipped a couple of days of riding because I couldn't keep food down. I had serious food poisoning.
wow.
And I have only in the last 36 hours, I've started to eat again.
Okay.
But I was pretty sick most of the ride. Glad to get home. Glad to be in my own bathroom. You know what I mean?
Well, you've caught up on all your reading now, anyway, haven't you?
It was very eventful, and not the way that I wished it
Yeah.
had been eventful.
No, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun.
So you're already
It was not.
So you're already all done with the ride then?
I'm sorry, start again?
I said, so you're already all done with the ride then?
Oh yeah, I got back Sunday night.
Ah.
Oh, okay. So the ride has reached its final destination.
Yeah, we ended up, the ride ended, officially it ended last Friday night in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Gotcha.
But I spent most of Saturday very weakly and very slowly getting from Biloxi up to Charlotte, and then I spent Sunday getting from Charlotte to home.
I gotcha.
And I've been home since Sunday afternoon, but have not done much. Have been pretty much laid out, just kind of resting, drinking a lot of ginger ale, eating a lot of saltine crackers, doing all the things that you're supposed to do when your stomach is doing backflips for
Chicken and rice.
5 days in a row.
So Cinco de Mayo last Thursday, did you in, or?
I had, no.
The In-N-Out burger, that's what it was.
No.
You probably couldn't even get an In-N-Out burger, I guess, at this point.
I had that 2 weeks ago today.
Okay.
That was fine. But the last, up until this past Monday night. The last good meal I had was Sunday, May the 1st, maybe. Was that a Sunday? It was the second day of the ride. Was the last good meal I had.
Wow.
Until this past Monday night.
Would you like to get your revenge and mention the restaurant on the TV tonight?
It was, we were riding from El Paso. We were riding from Phoenix to El Paso, and we stopped at a little. It was a program stop. We knew we were going to be there. They were waiting for us. We stopped at a little West Texas steakhouse on the side of a little back road. The kind of place you think, man, this is great.
Gotta be
this
good.
is authentic. This is authentic West Texas. They were grilling steaks out in the front yard. They had beans and potatoes. They had, the kind of meal you would expect to get in West Texas.
Yeah.
And I must have gotten the only bad piece of meat that anybody got that day.
No one else got sick?
I was the only person to get sick. We got to El Paso. I got to my room, and I realized immediately my stomach was doing backflips. So I pretty much got rid of everything I had just eaten. It came up and out both ways.
Wow.
And, the doctor said the next morning, he said, don't eat anything for a day. Just kind of let your stomach clear. And I didn't eat anything again. And the next night in La Ida, Texas, I was sick again. And I couldn't understand what am I throwing up and what am I getting rid of when I didn't eat anything.
Yeah.
But he said you got a flu bug, you got food poisoning, you got something. So
Yeah.
I was pretty laid out for about 4 days. It was just, it was dreadful.
Yeah.
To
Well,
say the least.
2 weeks ago the flu went through our house, and so it's still out there. So, maybe it wasn't the food. Maybe it was maybe you actually did pick up the flu in some way. But it went through our house pretty hard. Colin was sick, for a solid week. So.
How'd you guys like Las Vegas?
We had a great time. We stayed on the Strip for too long. We stayed on the Strip for I guess 4 days, 4 nights, 5 days, 4 nights, whatever it was, and then the wife's meeting started after that, and we transferred out to Red Rock, which is, I don't know if it's maybe 8 miles or 10 miles outside of the Vegas Strip. So that was a nice area and casino and all that, but it's just a different look at Las Vegas, and that's actually out there in, now the name escapes me, but I guess the Howard Hughes area of Las Vegas. So anyway, so we had a great time. We got in at least one night of In-N-Out Burger while we were there. We weren't close enough to one while we were on the Strip to figure out how we were going to dry ice a couple of them and send them back to you. So, but we did try it out. We thought it was a good place. And again, I think it stands up to your description of the burger, so I thought it was really good.
I think I knew you'd enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, Roger.
Yes.
What's your boy Tony doing? Every time Tony opens his mouth, he gets in trouble.
Oh, goodness.
This week? I hadn't heard anything about this week.
What happened?
The week he announced he's coming back at Richmond, NASCAR waits about 3 hours.
Yeah.
And fines him for saying what everybody else had been saying for months. And then they changed the rule to basically prove he was right, and they still fine him. I don't get that.
Yeah, they could at least said, okay, well, we'll donate money to the charity, but give you yours back anyway. But they just, I think Tony needs to go over there and to France's house with a bag full of poop and light it on fire and run. And let him come out and stomp it out.
He may already have. You don't know that he hasn't.
But
he may have.
Well,
but Tony likes fire a lot, so it might be something he would do.
Yeah.
It just seems odd to me. It seemed, past tense, it seemed odd to me that NASCAR would vacate that policy to begin with. Okay, you don't have to have all 5 lug nuts tightened. You know, to me that seemed like a bad idea from the beginning. Now, whether anything happened this year so far to cause them any undue concern, I don't know. I don't know if anybody lost the wheel. I don't know if anybody, you know, got close to hurt anybody without a lug nut deal. I don't know. But for him to say what he said, which was perfectly appropriate,
Yeah.
absolutely appropriate, and for them to react in just a matter of hours, just seemed a little heavy-handed to me.
Wasn't much of a welcome back, was it?
Yeah, welcome back now, shut up and pay your fine. You know.
Not quite the way they treated Jeff Gordon last year.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Well, of course, he didn't say a whole lot that was bad, but the other thing is, it's like telling your parents something that they don't want to hear it, but an hour later they agree, you know, he's right, but you still go to your room.
Yeah, you're still on restriction.
It doesn't make sense to me.
There's a whole lot that didn't make sense, hasn't made sense this year, so that's just one thing on the list.
Yeah, you know, the last race I actually physically attended was Richmond, of course, because I left the Monday after Richmond to head to California. To briefly review Richmond, I don't think Carl Edwards did a thing that Kyle Busch would not have done to him on the last lap coming for the flag. I don't believe anybody found anything in that move the least bit objectionable, because we've seen it happen before. Talladega was just an absolute cluster.
Yeah.
How they can let them keep doing that, and I've got to rag on some of my colleagues a little bit. Everybody wrote, USA Today in particular, and AP. Everybody wrote that they have got to stop plate racing. I have yet to see anybody say, this is how we do it. This is how we change it. You know, the speedways and ISC and SMI, or ISC mostly, the speedways are not going to spend the money to cut down the banking to make those racetracks 28 degrees or 30 degrees and automatically slow the cars down by 15 or 18 miles an hour. They're not going to invest in changing their playing field. I'm not a mechanic. You know, you guys know more about this stuff than I do. But, and of course, you can't talk about smaller carburetors anymore because they don't have carburetors anymore. But surely there's something that can be done to, okay, if you want to qualify at 180, 185, that's fine. But if you want to slow cars down to the 170s at a big place like Daytona and Talladega, isn't there a way to do that? I mean, you guys are mechanics more than I am.
Take the rear
Isn't
spoiler
there a way
off.
that can be done?
Take the rear spoiler off. It'll take away the downforce. They're going to have to slow down to keep control of the car. And that's what a lot of them would like to see, is to have less downforce and put the driving ability back in the driver's hands. That way you don't have to worry about going 200 plus miles an hour and just get out there, run a car and make it look like it used to be when they were really stock cars.
But if it's basically an IROC race where all the cars are the same and they all qualify within a second of each other, I don't know how you expect them not to run all in one pack once the race starts. And the problem with those races is that whoever's out front has all the advantage and everyone else can't find a lane that'll move. You know? So
Yeah.
it's really killing the interest, I think, in watching those races, other than the fact you know there's going to be lots of wrecks. So, you know, everybody wants to tune in, if nothing else, just watch people tear stuff up.
What?
Yeah, but they're not tuning in.
Yeah, well,
That seems to be.
yeah, that was the only race that almost broke even on last year's ratings. Every other race has been down so far.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And the other thing is, what was Denny Hamlin thinking in Kansas City? I mean, he caused that big wreck. I told somebody the other day, I was in Charlotte watching it on TV, and I'm thinking, if Hamlin had waited 5 seconds, remember the pass I'm talking about? He tried to squeeze between two people and cause that big wreck.
Oh yeah. He was going to duplicate Daytona is what he thought he was going to do.
Exactly.
He's been told what a genius he was at Daytona, and so he was going to duplicate that move.
Yeah.
Didn't work out that way.
But see, two things you said that don't go together. You said Denny Hamlin, and you said thinking.
I know.
And so that's where you went.
Went off track there.
That's where you took a right instead of a left.
But if he had just waited, I mean, he clearly was faster than those two people, and no question about it. And you wonder why he didn't just wait for a few seconds to get by him. He'd have been home free. Now, he might not have won, but he wouldn't have ended up in a wad in the garage area with a bunch of guys yelling at him. So,
yeah,
I don't know. But you know what? They keep coming up with things that make people keep talking about them.
So, what'd you think?
Now, whether they're talking about them in a good manner or a critical manner, I don't know if they care.
Well, maybe not.
I really don't.
Maybe, like they say, even bad publicity is good publicity. So maybe that still holds true.
Just spell our name right and tell us when the next race is, and we'll be happy.
But they get blistered every race afterwards on social media. So people are just tearing them to pieces after every race.
Well, but one thing there is that people who spend a lot of time on social media, they tend to be a little bit more critical of almost everything anyway.
Yeah.
In other words, if you watch an NBA game and you immediately go online after the game, when your team won or lost, you feel like a big guy. You feel like you're an expert. You feel like you're somebody to claim, well, Kevin Durant's a no good. He's a punk or this or that or whatever. I mean, you can hide behind, as y'all know, as we all know very well, you can hide behind the anonymity of social media and make yourself feel pretty good.
Yeah.
When you really don't, you're not being fair, you're not being honest, you're just being critical because it's cool to be critical. Yeah. It is not cool to be positive. It's very cool to be negative.
Yeah.
And I wonder now, in NASCAR's case, there's almost every reason to be critical. But even if they had a great race, I think Daytona had a great finish. Wasn't a great race by any means. And you read stuff on media, on social media about Daytona. Late caution set up the big deal, all this kind of stuff. And yet people still enjoy criticizing what they saw at the end. Well, Hamlin shouldn't have bumped Kibitz out of the way, or Truex should have moved up a little bit and bumped Hamlin. People can criticize everything, and you can't get away from it because you're anonymous. You've got a screen name that may or may not mean anything to anybody, but that's just who you are.
Yeah. So, with everything that went on, with you being sick and all that, did you get to see the truck race on Friday night?
No.
Didn't see it?
We were in Biloxi. We had just gotten to Biloxi Friday night, and the last night of the ride is always kind of hectic. They have a big gala banquet, farewell deal. Everybody's trying to get luggage packed up and shipped, and no, I have no idea. I don't even know who won. I really don't. I'm sorry.
Well, we got the winner coming on after you.
Oh, okay.
So actually, it was a surprising finish, I'd say, and
another one of those last lap things.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they went with was it a green white checker, I guess, right?
Yeah, they had to do the overtime.
Okay, so they did the overtime, and William Byron started out as they dropped the green. He was in the lead. He quickly dropped back 3 or 4 cars. I can't even remember who was at that point. I guess Sauter on the last lap took out somebody. I don't know who.
Kyle Busch, I think it was.
Is that what it was? I can't remember. One of Kyle wasn't in the race because he was sitting up on the box.
That's right, because that's when
one of
Byron's
Kyle's cars, I think, got taken out.
Yeah, well, because Kyle's truck was the one William was driving.
Yeah, he's got a couple of trucks, and that was one of them.
So, it was.
Yeah. So William Byron ended up winning. That was his first race win. 18 years old, hasn't graduated high school yet.
Oh, okay, good for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got hooked up with the right guys. That's all that matters. He was out there. He led quite a few laps, and
that's the Liberty University truck. So we're gonna.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. I think I did see that. I didn't quite frankly pay a lot of attention to it, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it was not an Xfinity race in Kansas.
Right.
Just,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. So glad you got him on.
So other than some of the challenges that you've faced, anything else exciting or interesting that happened along the way on the ride?
I can tell you this: there is a tremendous, and I don't know.
Anybody who knows me?
I don't know how I can express to you how much land there is between El Paso and San Antonio, in which there's absolutely nothing.
Nothing there.
I mean, we're talking probably thousands, or maybe tens of thousands of square miles of nothing but desert and ranch land, not even ranch land, because there's nobody ranching it. There's just an enormous amount of countryside in West Texas into eastern New Mexico and Arizona where nobody lives. I mean, you could drop a hydrogen bomb out there. It would take a couple of days for anybody to notice. I'm as honest as I can be. We went through Big Bend National Park, which is a stunning, stunning place. And you ride for hours and you don't see a living soul. You don't see a bird. You don't see a deer or an antelope. You don't see anything. It's amazing.
So it's just a dry desert with a road through.
Yeah, it's just dry and hot. The thing is, you couldn't live out there because you couldn't. The land can't support anything.
Yeah.
But there is just an enormous, gigantic area of emptiness in this country that people east of the Mississippi don't even know about.
Yeah.
They can't fathom how much land's out there. It's just, and I shouldn't have been surprised because we've ridden through. I've done all 22 rides now, and we've ridden sort of nearby there. You know, at other times we've gone from El Paso down to Sanderson and Alpine and Del Rio and that way. But every time I go that way, I'm just reminded of how much land is in West Texas that's just laying there, and may never. I mean, people may have never walked on that land. I mean, really, there are no fences, there are no light poles, there are no cell towers. There's nothing out there but
the stars at night.
Do what?
Nothing but the stars at night.
Maybe there's
Exactly, and you can see those forever.
Oh God, yes.
maybe there's an ocean of oil under there somewhere.
Yeah, and if anybody ever finds it, maybe they're gonna turn that into another Oklahoma, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the giant sandbox in the Middle East. You know, there's
Yeah.
an ocean
Yeah.
of oil there, so maybe
Yeah.
we've got it can be self-sufficient at some point.
Oh, the crash was.
Of course, the difference is the great sandbox in the Middle East is basically a sandbox. Out in West Texas, the topography, the geology is different. You'll have mountains and valleys, and you'll see you'll look off for 20 miles and you'll see various geological, figures.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just flat and sandy,
Yeah.
but there's nothing out there.
Yeah.
It's spectacularly desolate.
That's a good way to say
It really is.
Uh-huh.
And you don't want to start driving out there without a full
Tank
tank of gas and 2 or 3 cases of cold beverage in the car.
Mm.
Because if you break down, you're dead.
So you don't see the little highway truck out there anywhere going by that's willing to help people with a flat or anything like that?
There's no VDOT trucks out there.
No. They're not using
T-dots. They would be T-dots.
They're not using their tax dollars in that way, I guess.
Not a whole lot.
Figure if you're
I think I'm recovered enough to head for Dover Friday morning,
all right.
and I'll be back. I'll definitely be back in the studio next Wednesday, Roger.
Okay.
The week after that, I've got to be in Charlotte for the All-Star, for the Hall of Fame voting. So you'll get me one of the next 3 weeks.
Oh, they still let you stay and do the Hall of Fame vote, huh?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought the Smokey Yunick story would get me booted off, but I'm still in there.
Well, hey, speaking of that, you'll be interested to know, if you don't already know, Germain Racing is going to honor Smokey Yunick at Darlington with the throwback car. So.
I saw that.
How about that? So your article was well timed.
Yeah, did you see what RCRs could do for their throwback car?
Yeah, I think it said Ricky Rudd.
Ricky Rudd car, yeah.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You did good, Al.
So if they let him have a throwback car, maybe your article and the throwback car is chiseling away a little bit at an opportunity for Smokey to get on the ballot.
I talked to somebody on the ride who is on both the nominating committee and the selection committee, and he said every year Smokey's name comes up, and every year NASCAR people shoot it down. He said, I don't think it'll ever happen. But you never know.
Maybe we should have a Fans of NASCAR Hall of Fame.
Well, there is one. There is a fan vote. NASCAR fans can actually vote for the Hall of Fame. But if you're not on the ballot, it doesn't matter. And he's never been on the ballot. In other words, the fans can't nominate, but they can vote for. So I think, and we'll talk about it next Wednesday night. I think this year, Benny Parsons will go in, Buddy Baker will go in, I think Mark Martin will go in, Robert Yates will go in, and maybe one of the old guys, either Red Byron or Raymond Parks or somebody like that.
Probably Raymond.
I think they'll get in 2 living guys and 3 dead guys. But we'll talk about that next week.
I guess the fans' choice or the ballot, those fan choice winners is probably in the alley behind the Hall of Fame, next to the dumpster.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they've got a wall of fame.
Right next to the first edition of this year's rule book.
Wall
I
of
think
Shame.
Tim Richland will never make it.
No?
Another one will never make it.
No?
No, I don't think Tim Richland will ever make it. Because they just, he embarrassed them too much. Smokey embarrassed them too much. It's like Smokey Yunick's daughter told me when I interviewed her in Daytona Beach in February. The die was cast a long time ago. It came from Big Bill to Bill Jr. to Brian, and that's where it stops. And that's
Maybe when we get rid of Brian, then maybe it's still possible.
I don't know, because then you still got Hilton, you got Lisa France Kennedy, you got everybody else who's part and parcel of NASCAR. So,
Okay, gotcha.
but listen, it's their Hall of Fame,
Yeah,
and they can do whatever they want.
you're right.
And it's not, there are players that are not in the Baseball Hall of Fame that probably should be. But now the other thing is, the NASCAR Hall of Fame is still fairly new.
Yeah.
I think they've only inducted maybe 35 or 40 people. So they've got a long way to go to catch up.
Yeah.
So
Maybe they run short of names at some point.
I don't know, and they'll never run short of names. Because right now I can give you 15 names that will eventually make it. I mean, obviously Stewart will make it, Gordon will make it, obviously Kyle Busch will make it, obviously Sam Ard will make it.
That's William.
I mean, with a little bit of thought, I can give you 15 names right now, people who are going to make it eventually. And that's,
Yeah.
I mean, if all of them went in 3 consecutive years, you're only clearing about 20% of those who need to go in. I mean, Harry Hyde needs to be in eventually. People like that.
Yeah.
So Ricky Rudd needs to be in eventually. Judy Donalevy needs to be in eventually. Paul Sawyer, for crying out loud, needs to be in. There's 5 more right there. So.
All right, Al. Let's go ahead and get you out of here. We got Byron trying to call in, and you're on the same line.
All right, you'll see me next Wednesday night for dinner.
All right,
Okay.
don't bring your germs with you.
I'll be well by then. Take care, guys. Bye.
All right, bud.
You still there, William?
Here it comes.
Missed it. All right, just do it this way.
I like he's punctual though, right? He's right on time. There he goes.
Sorry about that, William. I was trying to text you before you called.
No problem. Yeah.
You've met Al Pearce before?
I think so.
Yeah, he's with Motor Week. Anyway, when we get him running, sometimes we can't get him shut off. Only time that works is if it's 8:01, because that means it's time to go to supper.
Right.
Anyway, we got William Byron on the line. How's it going?
It's going good. I'm glad to be on the show.
How you feeling about that first truck win?
Oh, it feels great. We had a great week of interviews and different things that I ran around doing. I'm just excited to get back to the racetrack this weekend for Dover, and hopefully we can get another win.
There you go. So, what did you think about that turn 3 crash there at the end?
That was interesting. I definitely could see a little bit of that coming with the way that things were playing out throughout the race. We were having a lot of cautions, and I knew something like that may happen at the end. So I just kind of put myself in a position where even if they didn't have a big wreck like that, I could still split by on the bottom and maybe finish 3 wide. But to get the finish like we did and pass them for the lead, that was really cool.
Yeah, I was really glad for you. I remember when I first met you at the K&N race at Langley, and I told you and your dad, I said, you're going to win tonight, and damn if you didn't.
That's great.
So, yeah, it was good to see you out there and to get that win. Got a lot of people I know out there, and it's always nice to see somebody you know get that P1 position at the end there.
That's great. Yeah, Kansas was a great atmosphere around the racetrack. I was really impressed with how the city was, how the racetrack had been, how everything was managed. It was really a neat place, and I can't wait to go back.
So how was working with Kyle Busch for an owner for you?
That was cool, having him on the box. He's been on the box at a couple races this year. To have him on the box at Kansas was a big help. He was able to give Christopher and myself good advice to race and tell us how to get by different situations, like he always does. So he's a great asset to us wherever we go, and it just proved to be, it was even better to have him there to witness the first win.
Awesome. Yeah, I did catch the media center interview too, and put that out for people. I shared that, so you'll. I don't know if you remember much of what was said. If you ever want to, you can always go on YouTube from us and check it out.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
So, the races you've been in so far with Kyle on the track, do you feel like you're also, kind of learning by, seeing what kind of lines he's running or searching around for more speed on the track? What do you think you're picking up from watching him on the track?
I think the biggest thing I've picked up mostly from watching videos and watching him race, whether it be on TV or in person, I've learned how much he moves around, how he goes about doing things, pit stops, everything like that.
and also just through his word of mouth, what he's telling us in our competition meetings or at the racetrack. The only time I've gotten a chance to race against him was at Martinsville, and Martinsville is a different animal in itself. So I didn't learn a ton there from following him,
Okay,
but
gotcha.
just I learned how how consistent he is on the racetrack and how he really puts everything, he lines everything up to so that he doesn't make a mistake. And normally the races fall into his hands because he doesn't make a mistake that would take him out of it. So that's the biggest thing, is just learning how he goes about that and learning from him off the racetrack.
How did the folks at Liberty University respond?
They were so excited about the race. I haven't had a chance to talk to many of them, but I've just seeing on Twitter what they've said on social media. Seems like they really felt great about the win, and it's really neat to get them their first win in NASCAR, bring a new sponsor to the sport like this, and in such short amount of time in the Truck Series to get a win is really neat for them. So we're looking forward to trying to get some more wins, hopefully at Dover and then hopefully at Charlotte again. So we're just going to keep focusing on that.
That's great. Now you've run in the K&N car at Dover, so do you feel like that gives you a little bit of help in terms of how you're going to approach this week's race?
I think it gives me a little bit of help just knowing the racetrack instead of going there for the first time and not even having seen the place in real life. But I think with the trucks, it's going to be a totally different environment and a totally different feel than what I'm used to in a K&N car. So I'll kind of have to start from scratch and really focus on what my truck's doing and take maybe just a little bit from what I learned in the K&N race, but probably not a lot.
Yes, sir.
Now, is Kyle going to be running at Dover, or is it going to be you and
No.
Chris again?
It's just going to be Daniel Suarez, Christopher Bell, and myself. And then at Charlotte, Kyle's going to be running a Ford truck.
Woo! Back to competing with him again then.
Right? Yes, for sure. Hopefully we can
Do
give him a
you,
run for his money.
do you ever feel he might leave something out when he goes to a track he's going to be racing against you? Not just tell you everything?
Well, I mean, I think any competitor, it's hard to give everything, but he really does give us a lot of great advice. He's not the kind of guy that has a closed notebook when it comes to this. It's almost like he's given it, as long as. So we're really, that is rookies, Christopher Bell, myself, Cody Coughlin, and even Daniel Suarez. But moving forward to Charlotte, I think he's obviously really good there. He's won there in 2014 with the Truck Series, and he's going to be really hungry for another win. So that'll take a whole nother level of intensity to be up there racing with him.
So you got a busy summer now ahead of you. You're about to graduate high school and you've got to keep up with your race schedule, but you also got to get yourself transitioned. You are still going out to Liberty University next year?
Yes.
Okay. So how's the preparation going as far as that transition so far?
It's pretty good. Liberty won't start up until August, so I'll have a couple of months to focus on the races and get used to the schedule that I'm going to have in the Truck Series, especially with the races starting to come along in strings like they are, with 3 in May, a few in June, and a few in July. So before I get to Liberty, I'll have a chance to get used to everything like that. I'm just really looking forward to getting on campus next August, meeting some new friends, and also just focusing on what we have going on in the trucks and hopefully getting a few more wins before the summer's over.
Now, will they put you in an athletic dorm since you're a sportsman for them?
Well, I'll actually be in a normal dorm, and I'll have a chance to interact with all the kids that are, I guess, non-athletes, and that'll be really neat.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Now, I know when you were K&N down at Langley, your dad was traveling with you. Now, is he still hanging around with you when you're going to do your truck racing and everything now with you?
He does a little bit. He comes mostly to the races, and I travel myself for practice days and qualifying days. So he normally comes in for the race, and my mom normally is there, and that's really good to have them there and still have their support and everything.
Good deal. Now, what is he thinking about with all the stuff that's happening for you with the trucks and stuff?
Oh, he's really excited. He was pumped on Tuesday night. So my sister. So I really liked it. We're fortunate over this weekend for that.
Are you doing something with your phone?
Oh, sorry.
Because you were going in and out, and it sounded like you kept thumping against something. I thought he reminded me of Guido Di Benedetto. When he did his periscoping to everybody, he'd go to their haulers and start talking with them, then take the phone and start tapping them on the head. It sounded just like that.
Okay.
You got to watch out for some of the drivers out there. You think they're crazy? They are.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're going to be full schedule then, apparently, for the trucks then.
Yes, for sure.
Somebody asked me to ask you, when do you think you're going to try to go into the Xfinity already?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm really just focusing on the trucks this year. Hopefully getting into the chase and having a chance to go to Homestead as one of the 4 guys to compete for a championship. And then after that, I'll focus on next year and see what we can do there.
Cool.
Some of the Xfinity rides, there's, I guess if you look at like JR Motorsports, people like that, they have drivers that jump in on occasions at certain tracks and things like that. Now, with your Toyota affiliation, are you able to, let's just say somebody had an open ride, can you jump in any ride, or does it have to be Toyota?
I haven't really, I haven't had a chance to have an opportunity like that, and I think if an opportunity came about, I just kind of work with everyone to see what was the best fit. But right now, I'm fully committed to the Truck Series with Toyota, and I'm just really excited to be a part of the Toyota family.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, you may have gotten there just at the right time, I guess, if you look at the way Joe Gibbs has been running, and, they've got the strongest cars, the affiliation with Truex as well, so you may have landed just at the right time in a Toyota.
Yeah.
Which they've always been strong in the trucks. I think they've always been the strongest player, I think, in the Truck Series.
Now, you were saying if you make the chase, what's there to keep you from making the chase?
Well, I think hopefully getting another win. I think we're all but guaranteed to get in the chase, so I'm really just thinking about getting another win, staying up in the top 8 in points, and I think after that we should be fine. I think there's a dozen races left, so hopefully, unless we have a surplus of new winners, I think we'll be okay. But you never know. So we'll just keep plugging away and try to get another win and definitely lock ourselves in. But I'm pretty sure we're locked in already, so I'm not worried about it.
Now, other than Kyle, have you talked to any of the regular truck drivers? Get feedback from them at all, like Timothy or any of those guys?
Yeah, I talked to Matt Crafton and Timothy Peters a lot over the course of a little bit of last year and this year. Those are great guys. Timothy Peters is really cool to talk to. He's a great guy. We kind of grew up racing both in late model stocks a little bit. My short time there, and I got to know him last year when I raced the Denny Hamlin Short Track Showdown. So he's a great guy. He's a veteran racer, and so is Matt Crafton. So I lean on those guys a little bit, but mainly inside our team, I lean on Kyle Busch and talk to those guys a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you. Timothy's a very, very nice young man. I've known him, I can't even remember how long, but I have a lot of long time jokes with him that I do and play on him.
Right?
What's a good one to play on you?
Oh, I have no idea.
What? So far, well, apparently Kansas is now your favorite track.
Huh. Yeah.
Have you got any ideas of what your next favorite track should be?
I'd say my next favorite is probably Atlanta right now. I really thought that was a cool place. It didn't have a ton of grip, and I really like the mile and a half so far, so I put Atlanta second.
Does that mean you're looking for a good race at Charlotte then? You're expecting to do well there? Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully Charlotte. I think we should. We're looking to win there, so like we are everywhere. So that's the goal.
I'm gonna throw a question at you that was popped up earlier. With all the fussing going on about the speeds being up so high, the drivers want to relieve downforce. What is your way you think is the best thing that NASCAR could be able to do to bring the speeds down and put the cars more in control of the drivers instead of just putting your foot on it and going the whole time?
You're saying at the restriction places?
Yes. Sorry.
Well, I think it's going to be difficult with the way that I see things happening because I think in the truck series you're getting, we had a flip at Christopher Bell flipped at Daytona, and we're, our trucks are significantly slower than the Cup cars are by themselves. Now in a pack we may not be that much slower, but that's the problem that you deal with is that if a truck can go just as fast almost as fast as a Cup car in the draft at the same racetrack, then slowing the cars down by themselves is not doing much. So it's a tough problem to deal with, but I think it's just a product of the racing that we have at the restricted plate tracks. Everyone wants to go for a win. The races are unpredictable. Anybody can win, and that's what makes it exciting for the fans and sometimes the drivers too. So sometimes those wrecks are just part of the deal, and we just have to work to make sure that the cars are as safe as they can be and staying on the ground as much as they can be. But as far as slowing them down, I don't know if that would do a lot because I think you could take almost any car, even a truck, and go 190 miles an hour or more at those places.
No.
So you're I'm going to throw in one last thing. So based on that last restart at Kansas, what do you think you can do different, I guess maybe to not give up the track position? You can't count on people taking each other out, so my son Colin Brown, racer and Liberty Online student, and so we're sitting there watching that. We're excited that you're in the lead on that final green flag, but all of a sudden you drop back 3 or 4 cars. We're like, wait a minute. What are we going to do? How can we get, once y'all got up to speed, you could see that you were coming on the outside, but again, you never know what's going to happen. So did you feel like you may have learned something there on that restart?
Yeah, the crazy thing is from a TV perspective, even from watching races last year, when I see a restart like that, I'm thinking, man, couldn't the guy just push the gas harder? But on those restarts, everybody gets such a run on you from really when you're on the first row and a late restart like that. Only I'd say at places like Kansas or Michigan, you're a sitting duck. So yeah. I'd say the biggest thing is probably just maybe back up to the guys in the second row more and allow them to force them to be pushing me. But honestly, getting through the gears, I was flat to it. So the biggest thing is just anticipating that those guys are going to get run and just making them carry you with them because it's really a different ball game than a short track where hey, you just get a good restart and you're checked out. It's a battle all the way to turn 1 because of the way the draft is. So with our trucks and how much of a hole they punch in the air, they're really like parachutes out front in front of somebody. So the biggest thing I'd say is just backing up to those guys, getting them to push us, both Christopher and I, because it looks like from TV we both did the same thing, but honestly it's just the runs that the guy in third or the guy in fourth gets on you. So we're just fortunate to be in a position where we could side draft some guys in turn 1 and 2 and get back to third. But I definitely was disappointed because I was in the truck and I really thought, okay, the worst thing, I'll be second here.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, everyone's splitting us 3 and 4 wide. So it's the crazy thing about those restarts at the end. I definitely learned a new trick for Kansas next time.
Yeah, so I think it sounds like you did learn, so that it sounds like the guys that have been around a while are happy to see you guys take off and try to, jump out in front of the pack because they know they're going to come flying by in just a second. So, again, it sounds like you did learn quite a bit from that restart situation. And if nothing else, you also learned that even if you lose a couple spots, it's not over. You're going to keep digging for those last 2 laps and see what happens. And that all bets are off, that everybody's going for it no matter what they have to do. I mean, I was kind of surprised to see Sauter, basically dive bomb and then, just hold the wheel and take out the leader like he did. But I guess, so I guess whatever it takes, they're going to do it to you. So.
Right. That's the other thing is that you never know what can happen. I think with this chase format, it's really important to get a win. So with a lot of rookies in our series, there's going to be opportunities to get a win, and you just can't lose sight of the fact that if you have a win, then you're more vulnerable to a guy than who doesn't. So that's the biggest thing.
Well,
good deal.
We enjoyed watching it, so we were happy that you carried the flag for Liberty and got the win for them. So that was great.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right, William, we'll go ahead and let you get out of here. If you want to do another round of shout-outs to your sponsors, go for it.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Liberty University, Kyle Busch Motorsports, and Toyota. It's great to have all 3 of their support, especially with Liberty coming on board this year full-time. It's going to be awesome to have those colors out on the racetrack all year, and fans can recognize the race truck each time they go to the racetrack. So I'm looking forward to that, and just excited to get to Dover this weekend.
I do have one other question for you. Now, when you have an off-truck weekend, are you going to be racing something else or just taking off?
I will be, a little bit. I'll be racing the Pocono ARCA race in a couple weeks on June 3rd, and then I'll be racing a couple of late model races here and there, kind of sprinkled in the middle. But mainly I'll just be doing the trucks and focusing on that, and I'll have a few off weeks to get rest and refocus on what we're doing in the trucks, but I'll definitely be staying in the seat.
Cool.
Well, hurry up and win again so we can have you on the show again.
That does not mean that you have to win before you get to get back on the show.
Go ahead and win them all.
Exactly.
Get it all covered.
Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
All right, William,
Thanks
I'll
for
talk
being
to you
on.
later. Tell everybody I said hi.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care. He was
Win
really
again, so we'll be back on the show. That's
Yeah,
really
that's
nice.
right, yeah. Well, I mean,
a
a lot of these guys, again, so you've said it before, you get them as they're coming up, things like that, and then, again, if he gets to be somebody that's winning on a regular basis, it's going to get harder and harder, because again, I saw on his Facebook, I think he was being interviewed by a TV station in Charlotte, so I'm standing in front of the Hall of Fame. He's probably, I didn't watch any of the Race Hub episodes this week, just I guess for no other reason. I've heard enough about Kyle Busch for a while, but so I would imagine probably one of those shows at least probably interviewed him earlier in the week. So I mean, right away his time gets compressed in a week's time, so it gets harder and harder as they get better to get on a show like this.
I wonder how late they stayed up partying on that one.
Well, I guess the champagne spraying was probably, it may have been water being sprayed. I don't know, with the Liberty University sponsor. I'm not sure how much champagne they sprayed, but I don't know. The party was maybe toned down a little bit compared to other race team standards. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
It's always nice to, like I said before, meeting the young guys as they're coming up, going through, and doing stuff.
Well, he's had an amazing start. If you look at kind of how he got started, he was iRacing, and then he decided he thought he could race, so he got into a legend car. All of a sudden won 30 some odd races in the legend car, parlayed that into late model racing, started winning that, won in K&N, won the K&N championship. Get this truck opportunity, 5 races into the season, he's got a truck win. So, I mean, if you want to look at somebody that's on the move, right now anyway, he's definitely on the move.
I tell you, all the stuff on here on his page and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got nice, good presence. So
Yeah.
Somebody's
Seems like a
gonna be
pretty down
shopping.
to earth guy. Pretty nice.
I wouldn't be
guy,
surprised to
so.
see him in a Xfinity, possibly even next year.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised. Any of these teams out there that have those rides available, again, where they want to plug somebody in. It's not all about, those low budget teams and all. Sometimes they just see a hot driver and say, hey, give you a 3-race deal, 4-race deal, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and to jump in this open truck or this open
But the
Xfinity car.
thing he needs to do and make sure is that he's got something that's a good vehicle. Don't jump into like a Carl Long or a Tammy.
Yeah, I don't.
Jennifer Jo Cobb.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have to worry about that, because I think if he keeps doing what he's doing, like he's done on his way up to where he is now, if he keeps proving himself, like he's hoping to get another win. If he were to get 2 more wins or 1 more win this year, make their chase, that's already a pretty good resume.
The biggest thing I see is that he's going to get to a point where all the good rides already got somebody in them.
Yeah.
That's why I'm worried about him going out and going to a team like any of the guys that finished 30th on back and getting a ride with them. All it does is get your name on the program. And
Yeah. But I think he would, for somebody like him that's already connected with Kyle Busch and all, I'm sure they're giving him advice like,
maybe when Kyle retires,
don't just jump in anything, right? Don't. Well, hey, I mean, Kyle, runs enough Xfinity races, right? So, maybe he can just jump in a Kyle Busch Xfinity car of some sort,
I think it's a Joe Gibbs car, isn't it? In the Xfinity.
It does. So I thought Kyle had his own Xfinity team at one time. Was that not? Did he not have something that, again, before Monster was sponsoring at times? So I don't know if that's still out there, if that's still
something for
going on this year. I'll have to
you
look
can
that one
research
up.
that.
Yeah, I'll look that
Next
one up.
week.
Yep.
Okay, we're ready to roll. Do the
Oh, yeah,
outpost.
let's
Get the
do
hell out
that,
of here.
yeah.
Beat feet.
Yeah, it's past time to eat.
Oh yeah, we'll catch everybody next week on Let's Talk Racing. Vroom vroom.